Incredible moment, single dad saves stranger daughter reveals touching wish for a new mommy. Jake Thompson rushed out of the hardware store, the fluorescent lights flickering behind him as he ducked under the awning into a downpour that soaked his shirt in seconds. He could feel the weight of the world on his shoulders as he dashed to his beat-up old car, knowing he had to pick up Lily before she lost faith in his promises of pizza night. Little did he know that as he barreled through the streets of Maplewood, destiny had other plans. Just as he was about to make a left turn, a screeching sound filled the air. His heart dropped as he turned to see headlights flying toward him, a red car crashing into a tree, splintering wood and metal with a sickening crunch. Without a second thought, Jake leaped from his car, adrenaline surging through his veins as he sprinted to where the driver lay, a woman, crumpled against the asphalt, her leg twisted unnaturally beneath her. "Stay still!" Jake shouted, keeping his deep concern masked beneath urgency. He knelt beside her, his hands shaking with fear but steady with determination. The woman's eyes, wide and distressed, locked onto his. "I'm here to help you," he reassured, knowing he had to be her anchor. He could see that she was in pain, but he focused, drawing from the strength he learned from fatherhood, holding her hand as sirens wailed in the distance. As he calmed her trembling breaths, he was struck by how fragile life was. The accident turned the hustle of the busy day into whispers of concern all around them. Neighbors began to gather, but for Jake and the injured woman, it was just the two of them, tethered in that moment of chaos. Days turned into weeks as Jake helped nurse Amy back to health in his modest home. Each evening, their laughter echoed through the walls, replacing the fears of what might have been. They shared dinners, exchanging stories about losses, the deaths that had carved out holes in their hearts. Jake never expected to feel so alive with someone else, but there it was, blooming amid the stench of uncertainty. But one night, as he tucked Lily in for bed, she gazed up at him with big, innocent eyes. "Daddy?" she whispered, her voice trembling. "Can I have a new mommy?" The words cut through him like a knife, slicing open his heart. How could he tell her that he was falling in love with Amy, a woman she adored? The thought twisted inside him, a tangled mess of guilt and longing. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Just as the next week rolled around, Maplewood gathered for a fundraiser to aid Amy's recovery. The gym buzzed with excitement and camaraderie, the tight-knit town showing up in numbers. But amidst the joyous noise, an unexpected incident sent a ripple of panic through the crowd. Jake's character faced scrutiny, every eye turned to him as he struggled to maintain his composure. It was there, in that moment of chaos, that Jake was left standing, caught between his daughter's innocent wish for love and the new hope he'd found in Amy. What would he choose? The decisions he made now would ripple through their lives forever. As he stood there, suffocated by the weight of expectation, the phone in his pocket buzzed with urgency. It was a call that could alter everything he cherished, leaving him frozen with uncertainty. What awaited him on the other end? The answers he sought could hold the key to understanding his own heart and whether a second chance at love might actually be possible. Jake's hands trembled as he pulled out his phone, a sudden pit forming in his stomach. He knew it was an important call, but there was a part of him that wanted to ignore it, the part that craved a moment to breathe, to rethink the maze he was in. The screen lit up with the name of the hospital, and he felt a rush of anxiety. Picking it up, he pressed the phone close to his ear. "Jake?" The voice of the nurse cut through the noise of the gym, her tone professional yet warm. "We have an update about Amy's condition." As she spoke, emotions flooded back, the weight of the world pressing on his shoulders once again. Jake's gaze shifted around the room, finding familiar faces among the crowd. Friends, neighbors, the community they had supported through thick and thin. Yet it felt like they were all reminding him of his own struggle, of the decision he needed to make. She's stable, but we need to discuss her rehabilitation plan. The nurse's words faded into a blur as fear crept into Jake's heart. Could he really juggle the responsibilities of being a single dad while nurturing a blossoming relationship with Amy? His mind raced back to Lily's hopeful eyes, the innocent question that haunted him like a ghost. "Okay," he finally replied, his voice barely audible. He stepped away from the clamor and made his way to a quieter corner, the sounds of laughter and chatter fading into the background. There, he could think. The love and companionship he had started to feel with Amy felt tangible, yet so frightening. Was he prepared to let his daughter's dreams collide with the uncertainty of a new beginning? "I need some time to consider everything," Jake said, cutting through the nurse's explanation, his voice building in strength. "I'll be there soon." He ended the call, inhaling deeply as he pushed a hand through his damp hair. Behind him, laughter erupted in the gym. He turned, seeing Lily in the midst of it, her face lit with joy as she sat with friends, blissfully unaware of the emotional storm swirling around him. His heart swelled at the sight of her, yet it also ached. The laughter echoed the idea that life could be both beautiful and messy, but could it really swing to happiness without permanent scars? As the last of the event came to an end, Jake found himself walking toward Lily. She spotted him, rushing over with her bright smile, eyes sparkling with excitement. "Daddy! Can we take a photo with Amy?" she pleaded, her words spilling out like confetti. Jake hesitated. "Sure, sweetheart," he managed, forcing a smile for her sake. But deep inside, the weight of the moment pressed down harder. Amy appeared moments later, looking radiant in a dress that brightened her already exuberant spirit. Jake felt his heart race just from seeing her, which both thrilled and terrified him. He couldn't ignore the connection they shared, the possibility of something more meaningful. Still, Lily remained at the forefront of his mind. In that brief moment, the world outside faded. Jake held his breath as he watched Lily run up to Amy and wrap her small arms around her. It was a scene that melted even his most hardened defenses. Amy looked down at Lily, surprised but clearly enchanted. That bond was undeniable, a thread weaving them all closer despite Jake's fears. Jake took a step forward, hoping to hold on to that warmth while knowing it came with weighty decisions that awaited him. His heart raced as he approached, realizing the choices ahead could shatter the fragile joy they had all created. What if this summer hour of laughter turned to crickets in the night? Could he be brave enough to embrace love again? Jake smiled, but as they posed for the camera, the uncertainty loomed heavy in the air. He didn't realize, though, that another call was coming his way, one that could change the entire direction of his life. Would he be ready to answer? As the shutter clicked, a warning buzzed in his pocket once again. The screen lit up with another name, one that could redefine everything Jake thought he understood about family. He hesitated, the world around him growing still as he wrestled with the future that awaited him. Would he be able to take the next step toward love, or would fear hold him back forever? Jake's heart raced as he reluctantly pulled his phone from his pocket, the screen flashing a name that sent another wave of anxiety coursing through him. It was his mother, a voice from his past that could either be a balm or an irritant. He looked at Lily, her laughter still echoing in his ears, her innocence a weight he felt almost physically. "Hey, Mom," he answered, trying to keep his voice steady. "Jake, I heard about Amy," she said, her voice laced with concern. "Is everything okay?" He glanced over at Amy and Lily, who were busy arranging their hair for the photo. "Yeah, she's stable," he replied, but the words felt hollow. How could he explain the chaos he felt inside? Good, good," she continued, "but you know how things can get tricky when emotions run high. Are you and Lily doing all right?" That question hung in the air, the weight of it pressing down. He felt an urge to lay everything bare, to share the uncertainty that had settled deep within him. But he pushed it away, focusing on the laughter radiating from his daughter. "We're handling it," he said, hoping the lie would become more truth over time. "Just be careful, honey. Relationships, especially in hard times, can become complicated," she warned softly. He wanted to scream that he didn't need her advice. But instead, he simply nodded into the phone, even though he knew she couldn't see it. "I will, Mom. Thanks." After ending the call, Jake took a deep breath and stepped back into the scene that felt surreal. The photo moment was almost magical, the warmth of connection wrapping around him like a gentle reminder. He captured the image of Lily's small frame nestled against Amy, their smiles juxtaposed against the wild colors of the gym decor. Yet, there was a voice inside him questioning the wisdom of this budding relationship. Could it really blossom amid such uncertainty? "Daddy! Can we get ice cream now?" Lily's voice broke through his thoughts, pulling him back to the reality of the moment. "Sure," he answered, trying to summon enthusiasm. He couldn't deny that the outing felt like an escape from the weight of future decisions. As they walked to the ice cream stand, Jake's mind raced through the possibilities. Amy may have won his heart, but how would she connect with Lily? What did Lily feel about all of this? Just as those thoughts gained momentum, Lily glanced up and asked, "Dad, can we get Amy to come with us?" The question hit him like a gentle wave, surprising yet tender. He turned to Lily, her wide eyes reflecting her hope. It was a simple request, yet it caught him off guard. How could he say no to that eager face? "Sure, why not?" he heard himself say, surprisingly lighter as he envisioned. But as they walked toward Amy, a trembling uncertainty gripped his heart. The layers of complex choices tangled together in a knot. Would bringing Amy into their little outing push him closer to the edge of a new beginning or send everything crashing down? Jake flagged Amy over, her smile lighting up at the mere sound of their laughing. But as she approached, another thought slashed through his good intentions. Was this just a fleeting moment of happiness, or was it an invitation to dive deeper into a life he had almost forgotten? Suddenly, the ringing of his phone interrupted the scene, pulling Jake back to that nagging feeling of dread. He looked at the screen, blood running cold as he recognized the name. "This can't be good," he whispered to himself. Would this call shatter the fragile joy he had just found, or could it possibly be a lifeline in disguise? The phone buzzed again, the vibration echoing like a warning bell in the air around him. He hesitated, the weight of the moment wrapping around him tight. With a deep breath, he pressed the answer button, bracing himself for whatever news lay ahead. "Jake," a familiar voice came through, sharp and direct. It was his sister, Hannah. "You need to come to the hospital. It's about Amy." Jake's heart raced, and a knot formed in his stomach. What happened? Panic clawed at his throat. He stole a glance back at Lily and Amy, who were now chatting animatedly. The laughter felt like a cruel contrast to the urgency in Hannah's voice. "She's having some complications. They said it might be serious." The words landed like a heavy stone. The sunny image of a joyful ice cream outing shattered. "Okay. I'm on my way." He ended the call, dread pooling inside him. "Is everything all right?" Amy had caught the edge of his expression. She stepped closer, concern knitting her brows. Jake felt torn, a fissure opening in his heart. He wanted to scoop up Lily and run toward comfort and safety, but he needed to be there for Amy. "We need to go to the hospital," he said slowly. "What? Is it your friend?" Lily's innocent voice tugged at him, her eager smile faltering. "Amy needs us," he replied, kneeling down to meet his daughter's eyes. "Can you be brave and come with me?" Lily nodded, her trust in him unwavering. Yet as he looked back at Amy, he could see the flicker of fear. He wished he could ease both of their worries, absorb their fears and transform them into hope. "Let's just grab that ice cream first," Amy suggested, forcing a cheerfulness he could see through. Maybe it'll calm the storm a little. He couldn't argue with that logic. "Okay," Jake conceded. They made their way to the ice cream stand, the normality of the bright colors and cheerful voices feeling out of place. He watched as Lily and Amy laughed and shared flavors, the moment becoming a way to push the weight of reality aside, if only for a few minutes, but the joy felt fragile, teetering as uncertainty loomed. What if Amy was seriously hurt? What if their connection was about to be tested in ways he had never anticipated? His mind churned with dread and what-ifs. As Lily took a huge scoop of mint chocolate chip, she turned, her expression softening. "Daddy, I love having Amy around. She's fun. Can she stay with us forever?" Jake's heart sank, his mouth dry. "Sweetheart, sometimes life doesn't go the way we want it," he said carefully. "But we'll handle things one step at a time." Her innocent hopes clashed with the storm brewing within him. "Let us finish up here and go meet Amy's doctors, all right?" he encouraged, though his voice lacked the certainty he wished to instill. They finished their ice cream quickly, moving seamlessly between giggles and comfortable silences. Yet as they left the stand and headed toward the hospital entrance, a part of him wanted to turn back, to escape into the sweetness of that small moment. But as they approached the sliding doors, reality loomed large, demanding attention. The hospital loomed before them, stark and sterile. Jake felt the warmth of Lily's hand in his, grounding him against the cold walls of anxiety. "You still okay, buddy?" he asked her softly. Lily nodded, though he sensed a tremor underneath. Her eyes reflected the uncertainty swirling in his own mind. As they stepped inside, the sounds of beeping machines and hushed voices enveloped them. The weight of anticipation pressed in on all sides, and Jake found himself wishing more than anything for the simple joy of their ice cream outing. Then, as if drawn by some unseen force, he glanced over to see a pair of doctors whispering. Their expressions were grave, and dread washed over him anew. Just then, his phone buzzed once more in his pocket, setting off alarms in his mind. He pulled it out, glancing at the screen. Another call, this time from his mother. The question burned inside him like a beacon: what more could possibly happen? Would this phone call offer a glimmer of hope or darken the skies even further? Jake's heart raced as he stared at the screen. His mother's name burned brightly. It felt like a lifeline or a noose, depending on the news she carried. He hesitated, trying to envision what she might say. Another complication? A glimmer of hope. "Dad?" Lily's concerned voice broke through, pulling him back into the moment. He took a deep breath, determined to keep his worries at bay for her sake, and pressed the green button. "Hey, Mom," he said, his voice slightly strained. "Oh, Jake, I'm glad you picked up." Her voice was warm yet edged with concern. "I just heard about Amy. Are you at the hospital?" He glanced at Amy, who was only a few steps away, trying to engage with a receptionist. The sight of her untamed optimism seemed so out of place in this sterile environment. "Yeah, we just got here," he replied. "What is going on?" "I don't know much yet, just wanted to let you know I'm here if you need anything. I'll be there as soon as I can." There was an urgency in her tone that sent the knot in Jake's stomach deeper. "Thanks, Mom. I appreciate it," he said, though fear gripped him like a vice. He ended the call, watching as Lily squeezed his hand tighter. "Is it bad, Daddy?" she asked, her innocent eyes wide and questioning. Jake knelt down to meet her gaze, fighting the rising panic. "We just need to be strong for Amy, okay? She's a fighter." Jake hated how his words sounded unconvincing, even to himself. "Okay," Lily nodded, though her lip quivered. He could see the fear lurking in her eyes, the same fear that twisted in his chest. Reality had a way of weaving through this fabric of their lives, pulling apart the seams they'd sewn so carefully. As they approached the reception desk, Amy turned, her expression brightening momentarily, but Jake could tell she was masking deeper feelings. "I spoke with the nurses," she said. "They're going to take me for some tests soon. Can we come with you?" Lily asked innocently. "We need to wait here," Amy replied gently, her eyes darting to Jake. He felt a rush of protectiveness surge over him. "Stay close, Lily. Let us wait together," Jake said, pulling her to his side. They stood there, glued together, as hospital staff moved around them with wads of paperwork and echoing footsteps. The bustle felt like a storm threatening to sweep them away. Minutes dragged on painfully. An array of emotions rolled through Jake: anger, fear, desperation, all colliding like waves crashing against a cliff. What if something happened? What if he lost Amy? Her presence had become a lifeline in his confusing world of single parenthood. Jake's phone buzzed again, shattering his thoughts. A text. He opened it, only to see a simple message from Hannah: "Amy's going to be okay. Just stay calm." Was this Hannah's way of comforting him, or was this meant to placate his worries? He wasn't sure. The stakes felt too high, and his heart quickened again as he glanced at the hallway where Amy had just vanished. In that moment, every beat echoed like a ticking clock counting down to something unknown. "Daddy, I want to see her," Lily said, her small voice penetrating the tumult of Jake's thoughts. As he looked down at her, he felt a flicker of determination spark within him. "Let us find a way," he whispered, his heart aching for the strength he needed to comfort them both. Moving toward the hallway, the desperation in his chest began to fuel hope. Just as they approached the double doors, a doctor slipped through, a grim look on his face and a chart clutched tightly in his hands. Jake's breath hitched. "Are you family?" the doctor asked, his voice somber and formal. Jake felt the air around him shift. "Yes, I'm Amy's friend," he managed to say, dread coiling tightly in his gut. There was no going back now that the doctor brushed past them. Jake's mind raced. What was next? Would he have the strength to face whatever news was about to unfold? And then he realized, whatever came next wasn't just about Amy, it was about Lily too. What would he say if the worst was true? Would Lily understand? Before he could sort through his thoughts, the doctor turned back toward them, pausing as if weighing the words he was about to speak. Jake's heart pounded in his chest, bracing for whatever was to come. Would he ever be able to make it all right again? "Look," the doctor said, "there's something important you need to know." Jake held his breath as the doctor's gaze bore down upon him. It felt like the weight of the world rested on that one moment. "Amy is stable," the doctor began, cautiously, as if each word came laden with gravity. "But we need to keep her for further observation. There are a few concerning signs we want to investigate deeper," and he glanced at Lily, then back at Jake, softening his tone. "I know it's a lot to take in." Jake's heart wavered between relief and despair. "What do you mean by concerning signs?" he pressed, his voice tight, seeking clarity amidst the chaos. The doctor took a breath. "We see elevated levels in her tests, and we're not exactly sure what's causing it yet. We'll do everything we can to find answers." Jake nodded, gripping Lily's hand tighter. His mind was racing, thoughts colliding in a whirlwind of fear mixed with the hope that they would come out on the other side of this. "Can we see her?" he asked. The plea curled around his tongue, a desperate need to touch the foundation of his world, to see Amy's smile and feel the warmth of assurance wrap around them both. The doctor hesitated. "Visiting hours are restricted right now, but I'll make an exception this time. Just keep in mind, it could be a challenging visit." Jake swallowed the lump in his throat, not wanting to imagine a challenging visit, but he nodded resolutely. "We're ready." As they walked down the long corridor, Lily's small hand in his felt like the only thing tethering him to reality. The antiseptic smell stung his nose, and the sound of muted voices echoed off the sterile walls. Anxiety buzzed beneath his skin, prickling every part of him. When they arrived at the room, Jake pushed the door open. The sight of Amy lying in the hospital bed sent a swift kick of fear through him. She looked small and fragile, connected to machines with wires, her face pale but peaceful. The contrast of her vibrant spirit against this stark scene made his heart ache. "Hey there, fighter," he whispered, stepping closer. Amy opened her eyes slowly, revealing a hint of surprise mixed with pain. "Jake?" she croaked, her voice scratchy but filled with warmth. Jake leaned in closer, needing her to see him vividly. "Yeah, it's me. I've got Lily here too." Lily peeked from behind her father's leg. "Hi, Amy," she chimed, a mixture of hope and worry reflected in her eyes. "Amy, you look like a superhero with all those wires," Lily declared, her innocent charm cutting through the heaviness of the room. Amy's lips quirked, and for a fleeting moment, the shadows of worry lifted. "And you're my sidekick, right?" "Yep." Lily beamed, her small voice a balm for the tension. As they exchanged small talk, Jake felt a warmth swell within him, pushing back against the cold fingers of fear that needed to creep in. He watched the way Amy interacted with Lily, how she smiled and made light of her situation. That light in Amy's eyes made him believe, if only for a moment, that everything might just be okay. They were all drawing strength from one another, a broken family stitched together by love and resilience. "Just remember," Amy said softly, "I'm fighting for you too, always." As they spoke, every minute felt precious, yet Jake couldn't shake the heaviness in his chest. When the doctor returned to check on Amy, Jake felt the dread returning. "Doctor, is there something more we should be prepared for?" The doctor hesitated again, staring down at the chart before meeting Jake's eyes. "I can't give you a definitive answer yet, but we will run more tests this evening." Jake nodded, swallowing hard against the rising tide of unease. Lily let go of Jake's hand and took a step forward. "Doctor, can you make Amy better? She's really special to us, and I still want her to tell me more stories." The doctor's expression softened. "We're going to do our best, sweetheart. That promise is one of the most important we make." Jake watched as Lily's small hands clenched into little fists at her side, determined and protective. In that moment, he understood profoundly the heart-stopping connection between them, drawn into a single thread woven from their love, courage, and hope. But just before the doctor turned to leave, he uttered one last thing. "We need to discuss her prognosis. This will not be easy." Jake's heart sank once more. What did that even mean? As he looked at Amy, and then at Lily, he knew this battle was far from over. They stood on the precipice of uncertainty, and the storm would only rage harder before it could clear. Could it really change for the better, or was this just the beginning of a darker chapter ahead? "Daddy," Lily's voice trembled. And Jake knew right then, whatever came next, they would face it together, united in hope or broken by fear. What would that mean for their little family? Jake barely slept that night. The unfamiliar beeping of machines and the sterile smell of antiseptic haunted his thoughts. He stayed in the armchair next to Amy's bed, every few minutes glancing at her face illuminated by the soft glow of the monitor. The sight of her lying there, so vulnerable, made his heart clench tightly. Outside the window, a new day dawned, but the world felt surprisingly quiet. He felt like he was suspended in time, the sun's rays not quite breaking through the heavy clouds above. Thrum thrum thrum, the heartbeat of the machines matched the rhythm of his racing thoughts. He wanted answers, but all he had were questions. Lily, bundled up in her favorite blanket, was curled up on the single cot they had brought in for her. She looked peaceful, but the weight of uncertainty pressed upon him. He touched her shoulder gently, not wanting to wake her, but he wanted to feel that bond, that tangible connection. With the first light, the doctor returned. Jake sat up straight, his eyes darting to Amy, who remained still, her chest rising and falling slowly with the rhythm of the machines. "Good morning," the doctor said, his voice steady but serious. "We have some results from the tests we ran yesterday. I'd like to talk to you privately, if possible." Jake felt a jolt of anxiety shoot through him. "What does that mean for Amy?" "We need to discuss her condition in detail. It's about the elevated levels we noticed." Jake nodded, dread pooling in the pit of his stomach. "Lily?" he asked, glancing at his daughter still asleep. The doctor waved a hand toward the small waiting area nearby. "Let us step out for a moment. We can keep her close." As they moved down the corridor, a wave of uncertainty washed over Jake. The fluorescent lights flickered overhead, accentuating the stark white walls. He needed to prepare for whatever was coming, but nothing could really prepare him for the words he felt brewing in the doctor's throat. "Jake, we're running additional tests to pinpoint issues with her liver function. The variations we noticed indicate inflammation, which could be due to several factors, some of which may not be treatable." A cold chill swept over him, he barely registered the doctor's words. Not treatable. The words echoed in his mind like a cruel refrain. What does that mean for her future? The doctor hesitated, gauging Jake's reaction. I'm here to provide you with the best care I can. But we have to be real about what we are dealing with. We will explore every option, Jake, but we need to prepare for all possibilities. Jake swallowed hard. Every possibility. His heart raced as dread wrapped its icy fingers around him. What about is there hope? Hope is vital. We will get our best team involved, but understanding the situation clearly is just as important. We should focus on quality of life if it comes to that. Quality of life. Jake had heard those words before, but never in a context so terrifying. All he could think about was Amy's laughter, her stories, and all the moments they had yet to experience together. The deep-rooted fear of losing her threatened to drown him. Meanwhile, the sound of soft footsteps interrupted his reverie. Jake turned to find Lily stirring awake, rubbing her sleepy eyes. Dressed in her frilly pink pajamas, she looked like an angel in the sterile environment, an innocent beacon of light amid the despair. "Daddy, where's Amy?" she asked, her voice still thick with sleep. "She's right in her room, sweetheart." He found strength in her question, tightening his grip around her little hand as if to keep their bond safe. "Would you like to see her?" "Yes." She stood on her tiptoes, excitement lighting up her face. Together, they walked back toward Amy's room, and as Jake opened the door, he felt a rush of gratitude that she was still there. Faced with the prospect of potentially losing her, that single moment exuded a clarity he hadn't felt before. "Hey, fighter, look who's here," he announced gently, the breath catching in his throat. Lily rushed to Amy's side, her small hands gripping the edge of the bed. "Amy. You have to get better. I want more stories." Jake watched as Amy's eyes softened, the light in them bursting forth like a ray of sunshine breaking through the overcast sky. "You're right, my brave girl," she replied, her voice stronger than he expected. "And I have plenty more stories to tell you. I just need your help to get better." As he stood there, the love they shared radiated a warmth that pushed back against the chilling dread that swirled in his mind. They were batting for time, each word exchanged a promise to fight back against the odds stacked against them. Among all the uncertainty, he realized that their fight was bigger than he ever thought. It was not just about hope, it was about connection, resilience, and the fierce love binding them together. But what would they uncover about Amy's condition next? What twist lay ahead that would test their newfound strength? He looked at Amy, then at Lily, and his heart became a storm of gratitude and fear all rolled into one. Any moment could change everything. Would that precious bond be shattered, or would it hold them together as they faced the unknown? Jake felt the weight of Amy's gaze as it settled over him, that familiar warmth laced with the edge of uncertainty. He was desperate for her to rally, to push through, to defy what the doctor was hinting at. But beneath the flickering light of hope was a river of fear that threatened to spill over. "Tell me more stories, Amy," Lily shouted, her excitement echoing against the sterile walls, a sound innocent yet so poignant. "Of course, baby," Amy replied, a hint of playful strength in her voice. "How about the one with the purple dragon? Or the princess who saves the day?" "Yes. The princess." Lily jumped, her tiny fists clenching in glee. Jake couldn't help but smile at the exchange, but there it was, that gnawing feeling in his gut. He glanced at the doctor standing just outside the room, his face a mask of professionalism that couldn't shield the reality lurking beneath. As they settled into a more comfortable rhythm, Jake wriggled the chair closer. "Let us hear that story," he encouraged, squeezing Amy's hand. "All right, but only if you promise to join in, Jake," Amy insisted. "No princess is complete without her brave knight." The moment felt precious, spun from the golden threads of love and laughter. In that space, with the machines humming softly, they found a sanctuary from the looming storm outside. Suddenly, Jake's phone buzzed, jolting him back sharply to reality. A notification flashed across the screen: messages from family. He could only imagine what they were saying, but he knew deep down that they would want to help. The thought swirled uncomfortably. His instincts told him to reach out, but another part of him craved privacy, a shield against the chaos that was surely to come. "Daddy, is everything okay?" Lily asked, her voice softening. "I'm just checking in on some things, sweetheart. It's all good." He managed a reassuring smile, though his heart wasn't quite in it. After a moment of contemplation, he responded to the messages, letting out a heavy breath. The love from their family was undeniable, yet Jake felt torn. Did he really want this to be shared with everyone? "Amy," he started, "do you want your parents to know what's going on? Or would you rather keep it to ourselves for now?" There was a pause, and Jake's heart raced. He could almost see the gears turning in Amy's mind, her eyes reflecting a whirlwind of emotions. Finally, she said, I think I want them to come. But only if they bring hugs and cookies." Jake chuckled despite himself. Hugs and cookies it is. As he tapped away on his phone, the lightheartedness began to evaporate, leaving everything far more serious. Moments stretched into the unknown, and blissful distractions faded behind the shadow of fear that lurked just outside. A moment later, the door creaked open, revealing the doctor again. "Jake, we need to move forward with more tests. The sooner we know, the better we can plan." Jake felt his heart sink. What did plan really mean? He met the doctor's gaze, searching for anything that resembled reassurance, but there it was, just the stark reality of medical jargon. "Is Amy ready for it? We'll take all precautions. I promise," the doctor said, but Jake couldn't shake the feeling of surrender creeping in. Just then, in a fleeting moment, a thought struck him. What if this journey was more than just tests and treatments? What if there were deeper connections to uncover, truths to face that weren't merely about survival? As he glanced back at Amy and Lily, joy and despair wrestled within him. Emily was strong, but what about the strength of their bond? Suddenly, Lily broke the silence, her small voice rising above the rest. "Daddy, are we getting a new mommy?" The question hung in the air, a simple childlike inquiry that unraveled such complex feelings. Jake's throat tightened. It was a question he hadn't yet dared to consider. Did she feel the absence already? Did she yearn for something he felt unprepared to give? In that moment, he realized that not just Amy, but the very foundation of their family hung precariously in the balance. Would he be strong enough to endure what lay ahead, both for Amy and for Lily, who, despite the heaviness of their reality, still had glimmers of hope in her heart? He looked at them, and the realization dawned. Their next steps would shape not only their future but every truth they had yet to uncover. For better or worse, was he equipped to navigate this new family dynamic, especially if it meant facing the profoundly changed landscape of their lives? Would he have the courage to reshape their family not only for their healing but for the love that lay beyond if they were prepared to embrace it? The weight of his responsibilities grew heavier as the uncertainty blanketed them again. But deep down, he felt a determination ready to push against those odds. What lay next on this journey? Would they weather the storm together or be fractured by it? The sun dipped lower in the sky outside the hospital, casting a warm golden hue through the window. Jake sat in silence, the weight of Lily's question still heavy on his heart. His mind raced with thoughts of the unknowns that lay ahead. He had once held a vision of their family complete, happy, and whole, but now, that image felt fragile and thin, like a spider's web glistening with morning dew. Amy looked at him, her eyes searching for reassurance, a lifeline in turbulent waters. "Jake." Her voice was soft, breaking the tension like a stone dropped in still water. "What do you think Lily meant?" He swallowed hard, the question burned on his tongue. "I think she just wants things to feel normal again. Kids want stability, and with everything going on, it's hard for her to see it." Amy nodded slowly, her face thoughtful. "But we're her home, we have to make sure she knows that, right?" There was a strength in her voice that Jake admired, but the crack in it reminded him of how precarious everything was. "Yeah. Home." he echoed, though doubt wrapped around the word like a dark cloud. He squeezed her hand, drawing comfort from their connection. Just then, the door swung open, and in walked Jake's mother, her presence a mix of warmth and worry. "Hey, sweetheart," she said gently, her eyes glistening as she took in the scene. "I brought cookies, as requested." She held up a small box, and a flicker of joy ignited in Lily's eyes. "Cookies! Yay!" Lily chirped, her face lighting up, all fears momentarily forgotten. A reminder that even in the hardest of moments, simplicity could offer a reprieve. Amy smiled at both of them, her energy shifting into something lighter. "You're a lifesaver, Mom. I was thinking I could use a cookie party over here." Jake watched as his mother's face relaxed, the tightness of anxiety easing just a little. She approached, setting the box down on Amy's bedside table, and peeled it open, revealing an array of colorful cookies. The scent wafted, wrapping around them like a blanket. "Lily, would you like to help pour the milk?" she asked, bridging their love with a simple task. "Yes." Lily hopped off the chair, her small feet pattering toward the little refreshment station in the corner. The sharp clattering of cups spilled a few moments of teenage joy mixed with innocent laughter, drawing Jake back into the present. As he looked at Amy, he saw a lightness return to her expression, a faint hint of the woman he knew. She was still here, fighting hard. Maybe a little joy right now was what they all needed. It reminded them of what was valuable and precious amidst the uncertainty. The warmth of family wrapped around them, despite being dressed in the harshness of hospital gowns and beeping machines. Jake stood up and positioned himself more closely to Amy. He whispered, "Let us focus on the good moments, all right? Small victories." Amy took a deep breath, visibly squaring her shoulders. "Small victories, I can do that." The flicker of fire returned to her eyes, igniting something in him. Maybe they could take turns being strong when the other faltered. Together, they'd face this storm. As the conversation flowed, new stories began to weave into the atmosphere surrounding them, filling the room with laughter and hope. Yet, in the tiny crevices of joy, Jake felt an undertow of questions still gnawing at him. Would sharing this journey with their family ease their pain or complicate their healing? Would their bond withstand the trials to come? As laughter echoed with cookies shared and milk poured, a fine thread of resolve wove through Jake's heart. But as night settled in and shadows deepened, he couldn't shake the feeling that a new chapter was unfolding, not just for Amy but for him and Lily as well. What kind of father would he choose to be through it all? And maybe, would he discover a chance to redefine their family, their relationships, and his role in their lives? Because deep down, amidst the laughter, the shadows loomed overhead, asking if they were truly ready for what lay beyond the door of this hospital room. The sun began to set, casting long amber shadows across the hospital room where Jake, Lily, and Amy sat in a thrum of laughter. Despite the uncertainty hovering around them like a storm cloud, the warmth shared over cookies and milk brought essential light to the room. With each giggle from Lily and the soft exchanges between him and Amy, Jake felt the walls of dread around his heart begin to shrink just a little. What's next for the bravest princess in the world? Jake asked Lily, squeezing her hand. She sat on the edge of Amy's bed, her eyes twinkling as she considered her options. "I want to go on an adventure," she declared, her small hands flailing excitedly. "A treasure hunt with dragons and everything." Jake glanced at Amy, who was beaming as she entertained Lily's whims. He felt something shift in the air, a kind of momentary relief and clarity. They might be navigating dark waters, but the laughter sounded like hope and resilience battling against illness. "How about we start our treasure hunt right here?" Amy suggested, the spark in her voice illuminating her face. "We can look for the best cookie hidden in this box." With that idea igniting Lily's excitement, the laughter resumed, filling the sterile space with a gentle warmth. For the first time since the beginning of this ordeal, as Jake watched Lily and Amy share moments of joy, he felt a flicker of determination to fight for their little family. Later that night, after Lily had curled up and fallen asleep on the bed beside Amy, Jake took a step outside into the emptiness of the hospital corridor. He leaned against the cool wall, thoughts swirling through his mind. Amy's words from earlier echoed in his ears, "I need your help to get better." It wasn't just about Amy's health now, it was about his personal awakening to a life of love, potential, and healing. He needed to take charge of not only his own heart but also the hope of this family. They were all in this together. He thought of Lily's innocent question about a new mommy, and deep down, he realized that maybe, just maybe, becoming a family anew was possible. The next morning, after a restless night filled with dreams of adventure and uncertainty, Jake entered Amy's room with new determination etched on his face. Amy looked up, bright-eyed, and for the first time, he saw a reflection of hope in her expression. "Good morning, sleepyhead." She greeted with a smile, making the hospital room feel a little brighter. "Good morning," he replied, feeling buoyed by the idea of possibility. "I've been thinking maybe it's time to tell everyone what we're facing. Share the journey, and let them help us." Amy's gaze softened, and for a moment, he could see the gears turning in her mind. "But only if it feels right for you," she said gently. "This is a lot for us all." "I know," Jake said, swallowing the knot in his throat. "But I can't help but think of Lily and what she truly needs. She deserves to see that even in these tough times, love surrounds us and answers arise together. It will be scary, but it might be a blessing." As Jake spoke, confidence started to thread through his voice. Together, they had built something genuine between them. Despite the fear of complications, the thought of weaving their families together felt like a golden thread stitching hope into the fabric of their lives. "Let us begin with our families," Amy said, the spark fanning into flames. "I'd like them to meet Lily. You've made me realize we're not alone in this battle. We are stronger together." Jake smiled, his heart swelling. "And let us create a new story for all of us, celebrating the heroes in our lives." Later that day, they gathered their families through a shared group chat, sending a simple and heartfelt message. "We need your support right now more than ever. Let us come together as a family and help one another through this." As messages began pouring in, each one brimming with love and support, Jake could feel a wave of hope washing over him. They would face this storm together, enveloped in community and love. A week has passed. Despite the ups and downs of Amy's treatment, Lily adapted, her laughter reigniting joy in the challenge that surrounded them. Each visitor brought memories and support, wrapping them all in a blanket of comfort and care. Jake witnessed the power of community as it flourished around them. One evening, the doctor stepped in, sharing the latest news. "We've seen promising results in Amy's tests," she said cautiously. "The inflammation is reducing, and with continued care, we're optimistic. Amy is still on the road to recovery, but she is fighting with everything she has." As they listened to the doctor's words, Jake clasped Amy's hand tightly. Their eyes met, shimmering with the strength they found in each other. He finally understood life would always carry uncertainties, but love was worth fighting for. With the support of family and the bond with Amy becoming more profound, Jake felt ready to embrace whatever came next. He could imagine Lily growing up with stories of bravery, love, and resilience that defined their journey. Maybe one day, Lily wouldn't only see Amy as a part of their lives, she would come to understand that love adapts and transforms, growing stronger amidst trials. As they gathered around the bed, listening to the laughter, Jake realized that not only had he entered this unusual chapter of love and healing, but also, this family once marked by loss now learned to blossom in the love they all shared. "Daddy, can we have another cookie party tomorrow?" Lily asked, giggling. "Absolutely." Jake grinned, leaning in to plant a kiss on her forehead. "Just you wait, we'll make it epic." Something bright glimmered in the depths of Jake's heart. Hope was now not just a fleeting thought, it had taken root, transforming into something magnificent. Through all the fear, they were learning to love fiercely and expand their family. With every shared experience, adventure awaited them, as well as a blend of love, resilience, and a future filled with new beginnings. Together, they would weather the storm, knowing there was still so much more to discover together. Who's ready for the adventure of a lifetime? Jake declared, laughter escaping him as they tossed bits of cookie at one another playfully. As they laughed, he held tight to the belief that whatever lay ahead, they would face it, heart and hand bound together forever intertwined. Now, it's your turn. Don't wait not even one more second to share this story with at least 5 friends who need to hear about the power of hope and resilience. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories. Hit that like button to help spread the love. And comment below with your feelings about this emotional ending. You need to share your thoughts.